Okay, let's set the scene. It's December 20th, 2025, and deep inside the Alabama prison system, a clock is literally ticking on a man's life while his family is on the outside, just desperate for answers. This is a story about a protest born from silence, and now it's being met with, well, even more silence.
You're looking at the number 30. Now, this represents more than just a measure of time. It's a symbol of desperation, really. It's a test of human endurance. But what does it actually mean in this story?
For 30 straight days, Kenneth Swift Justice Traywick, an incarcerated man known for his advocacy work, has been on a hunger strike inside Bullitt Correctional Facility. This isn't just a protest, it's an act of last resort, one that has pushed his body to the absolute limit. And listen to the framing here. Advocacy groups that are monitoring his case are being crystal clear. This isn't just a man refusing to eat. It is an emergency. So you have to ask, how did it come to this? And why is the Alabama Department of Corrections, or ADOC, saying absolutely nothing? To really get how we got here, we've got to rewind 30 days, right back to the moment this all began. You see, this wasn't some planned-out event. It was a reaction. It was the spark that lit a really desperate fire. This quote? This is from a phone call Traywick made to his wife, like moments after the incident. He's saying he was assaulted by a corrections officer, sprayed with mace from behind while he was just sitting in his bed area. He was convinced it was retaliation because he was a witness in another case about officer misconduct. And right then and there, feeling like he had no other option, he declared his last resort. And for Traywick, this wasn't some random one-off thing. The man has a long history of trying to advocate for others from inside the system. Filing grievances, helping with legal stuff, talking to journalists about what he considers unconstitutional conditions. So this hunger strike, it really wasn't his first choice. It was what he felt was his only choice left, after every other option was met with either inaction or even worse, retaliation. So as Swift's physical condition gets worse and worse, his family finds themselves fighting a completely different battle. A battle against a massive wall of institutional silence. Let's take a look at how this wall was built. His wife, Dr. Elizabeth Traywick, and his son, Zai, have been making these frantic calls for weeks. And look, they aren't asking for any special treatment. They're just asking for a simple confirmation. Is he alive? Is his health even being monitored? Because no spouse should have to fight this hard just to know if their partner is safe. But that's exactly what's happening. Their calls go unanswered, messages just get routed in circles, and they're given zero concrete information. And this right here really shows the deadlock they're in. The ADOC keeps citing policy, but what the family has documented tells a totally different story. They're told HIPAA prevents disclosure, but a simple welfare check isn't a violation. They're told Swift needs to sign a form that the staff then claims doesn't even exist. And a legally notarized power of attorney, which gives his wife medical authority, it's just being flat out ignored. The situation is so bad that even Traywick's own son, Zai, who, get this, is a corrections officer himself in another county, couldn't get a straight answer. He called for a simple welfare check, identified himself as an officer, and was met with what he described as just plain rudeness and deflection before they hung up on him. His conclusion? This wasn't an inmate problem, it was an officer problem. Now, Swift Justice's story, as awful as it is, isn't happening in a vacuum. It's really just one powerful example of a much larger, systemic crisis that has been plaguing the Alabama Department of Corrections for years. That's the nickname that advocates have given the system. It's a pretty grim reference to a fictional, corrupt prison, and it reflects a grim reality. I mean, the U.S. Department of Justice has an ongoing lawsuit against the state because they found the conditions in Alabama's men's prisons are unconstitutional. We're talking everything from violence to totally inadequate medical care. This list, it just summarizes some of the systemic failures that Dr. Traywick detailed in a formal letter to ADOC officials. It connects her husband's very specific protest to this long list of grievances that affect countless other people, everything from retaliation for speaking out to being denied basic human dignity. So let's get back to the present moment, day 30. We're way past this being just a protest. Medically, it is a full-blown emergency where every single hour counts. The most immediate danger isn't even just starvation. It's a condition called refeeding syndrome. And what that means is if and when Traywick starts eating again, the sudden shock to his system could actually be fatal without very precise, medically supervised care. It's a risk that gets bigger and bigger with every day that passes. This chart really visualizes that escalating risk. We are now at day 30, deep inside the critical danger zone. The only, and I mean only, information the family has received is that vitals are taken daily. But according to correctional health standards, at this stage, that is nowhere near enough. Organ failure and death are now very real, foreseeable outcomes.
So, what is it he's actually asking for? Well, Traywick's demands are not for special treatment. They are calls for basic accountability. He wants an end to retaliation, a transfer to a facility where he doesn't have to fear for his safety, a meeting with the ADOC commissioner, and an investigation into the very issues that started this whole thing.
This entire situation, from the alleged assault to this desperate hunger strike to the wall of official silence, it all brings us back to some really fundamental questions. Questions about justice, about humanity, and about accountability. This is a question posed by Swift's wife, who, by the way, has over a decade of professional experience in juvenile corrections. And it's such a powerful way to reframe it. She's arguing that the way we treat people inside prison directly impacts the health and safety of our entire society when they're eventually released. And then there's this quote from Swift's son, the corrections officer. It just gets right to the heart of the matter, doesn't it? It's a simple but really profound statement about remembering the shared humanity that should exist on both sides of the prison walls. Kenneth Swift Justice has put his life on the line because he felt he had no other way to make his voice heard. And the response has been silence. So that leaves all of us with a final, pressing question to think about. What is the true cost of that silence?